Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we strive to pull you out of your life of quiet desperation, out of your comfort zone of misery, and propel you into a life of freedom and fulfillment. And now, here's your host for this journey, international speaker and coach, and serial entrepreneur, Kurt Mercadante.
It's Freedom Friday, everybody. This is the Freedom Club Podcast. I am your host, Kurt Mercadante. I hope you've had an incredible week. And I wish you a weekend in which you're present with your family, your friends, and yes, yourself. And I know I've said this before, but I will continue to say it consistently. If you're constantly just living for nights and weekends because maybe you're in a job that unfulfills you, maybe you're in a lifestyle that unfulfills you, and then you get to the weekends, you wake up Saturday, and the thought of Monday morning is actually ruining your weekend. If that happens week after week, you have to make a change. And that change is possible. It is possible for you to break free, to live the freedom lifestyle. And that's even if you're in a 9-to-5 or if you own your own business. Either way, because you got to find that job that fulfills you. And yes, I know money is important. And yes, I know some people may listen to this and say, well, it's easy for him to say. Well, it's not really easy for me to say. I was in a good paying job, a corporate job, that was unfulfilling. And I left. We moved halfway across the country while my wife was pregnant. Was it a risk? Sure, but it was a risk I was willing to take because I know that my freedom and fulfillment is the most important thing in my life. My relationship with my wife and my kids is the most important. But if I don't have a life of freedom and fulfillment, then they won't either. And if I don't have that life of freedom and fulfillment, then my relationships will suffer. So I urge you to make a change. I also, before I really get started here today, I want to make a pitch. If you are not yet a member of the Freedom Club community on Facebook, it's free. It's a private community. Please join. Go to Facebook, search for Freedom Club Community. We'd love to have you. And if you are a member of the Freedom Club community, I thank you. And by the way, this past Wednesday, we had an incredible interview with Dr. Bobby Canaru. If you were a member of the Freedom Club community several weeks ago, you would have participated in the live taping of that podcast. You would have been able to ask him questions live, ask me questions. So I would love to have you as a member of the Freedom Club community. So today, I want to talk about you. You know, my daughter, she boxes. Actually, my daughter, myself, and two of my sons box, and my third son will probably start boxing soon. But my daughter, she's a warrior. She just leveled up. They test for different color shirts. That's how you tell what level they are. She passed the test. She's incredible. She's got an incredible jab. But, you know, some other girls her age, she told me recently said, you know, that it's weird that a girl boxes and she should be in like a girly sport like soccer or basketball. My daughter actually wears it as a badge of honor that she doesn't do those sports. Nothing against soccer and basketball. I'm a big soccer fan, but my daughter does that, right? But people say you're supposed to do this. You know, as I've mentioned here before, my wife and I, we homeschool. And week after week, people will tell us, you know, I've had some people outright tell us we're wrong for doing it. You know, we're supposed to put our kids in the government school. That's what's supposed to be done. I also last year had a potential client. You know, he kept complaining that he didn't have enough time for himself, right? He didn't have that alignment in his life that I talk about all the time. And he kept saying, well, we're always rushing around, driving the kids from this practice to that practice. Who knows if the kids actually like that, right? But what he said was, well, I guess that's just a normal course of life. You know, people tell my daughter she's supposed to do this. People tell my wife and I we're supposed to do that with schooling. People think it's the normal course of life. All of that is wrong. You know what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to chart the course for your life, the course that works for you. And if you're living a life according to the conformity of society, because listen, society can be a critic. Your family can be a critic. Your friends can be a critic. Screw them all. You got to do what's right for you. Yes, care about other people. Yes, be ethical. Yes, be a kind and compassionate person. But when it comes down to it, If you're letting other people control your life, if you're letting other people force you to conform, then you are never going to truly be free. You are never going to truly have that fulfillment you deserve. And people who constantly worry about what other people think, people who constantly worry whether or not they're going to fit in according to what society has laid out for them, not only do they not have a life of freedom and fulfillment, often they fail to act because they keep thinking, what are these other people going to think? What are my friends going to think? What's my family going to think? They don't act. They live a life of regret, certainly a life without freedom, a life without fulfillment. So you got to set your own course. That's what you're supposed to do. Stop giving a damn what other people think. If there's people who are constantly toxic like that, you need to cut them out of your life. And I've said that online, and I've had people comment saying, oh, really? You just want to get rid of dissenting voices? No, this isn't about dissenting voices. This is about surrounding yourself with fellow growth-minded people who are going to accept you for who you are. So if you ever catch yourself constantly saying, I'm supposed to do this, or this is the normal course of life, is that you really you talking? Or is it your family talking? Is it your friends talking? Is it society talking? You got to start charting your own course in life. That's a big step toward leading the freedom lifestyle. This has been the Freedom Club Podcast. I'm your host, Kurt Mercadante. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful weekend.